On social media platforms today, quality content often goes unnoticed. On Den, users get paid for the creation, evaluation, and curation of quality content. Content creators are rewarded based upon the engagement and reach of their post or comment. Content evaluators are rewarded based upon the speed and results of their predictions about which content will trend or go viral. Community owners are rewarded based on engagement within their community. On Den, quality content pays.
Hey, welcome to the DENDAO Call for August 24th, 2023. I've got myself back. I'm back in town.
Welcome back.
We got Joe. We got I Am for I Am.
Hello.
And yeah, so here we are. Sorry, I'm out of practice. All right, so we've got an agenda.
Good.
Let me bring that up. Let's go through it. What I'll do is I'll read over this real quick to hit the highlights, and then go back from the top to go over it. If you've got something that you want to contribute, that you want to say, you can pop in to this layer post in the DENDAO layer for August 24th and leave a reply. Some people have already, so we'll be sure to get to those. You can also join the call live if you want by clicking on this StreamYard link at the top of the agenda. That'll pop you in right here in the virtual room with us. Just leave a little private chat. You'll see the interface when you log in. Let us know you're here and that you're ready to go, and we'll bring you up. Other than that, you can follow along in YouTube and use the chat there. We'll see it, and we can bring those comments up on screen to talk about them as well. So real quick, the agenda for today, we've got LCP layer updates. We've got new layers that are live. That'll be animals and Dragon Chain social influencers. There are some details about that. The big thing that we got to talk about is that this meeting is going to change frequency and time after today. Starting now, basically after this show, we're going to go to a first and third weeks of the month. And instead of 3 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be well after work. I'll definitely be able to make that every time, unless it's like Thanksgiving Thursday or something. And hopefully a lot of other people will too. One of the things, I'm also doing that with Coffee with Den, which is a little bit off topic, but I'm hoping that one of the results of that is that folks will be able to join in more if it's after work, for example. If it's not in the middle of the workday, in the middle of the week, so we can get some more voices on here and talk about stuff. So we'll hit that again, and we'll go to the community input and feedback. Sorry if I sound a little bit funny. I keep having to play with my audio here because I'm on an unfamiliar set of headphones.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool.
It's a meeting, not a show. So even if.
All right. Good. I am not here to entertain. So.
Yep. I'm upset that I Am for I Am does not have his vacuum tube preamp on his microphone. So we don't get the audio file quality.
Yeah, the lossless quality, lossless audio stream. All right, cool. Back to the top then. So August LCP, we've got 2 new layers. There is, let me just bring them up. They're live, so I should be able to just go to Discover Layers and search for them. We've got animals. Boom, animals. It worked. So as we've been doing for a while now, everybody is auto-subscribed to these LCP layers. You can unsubscribe if you want, and when you do that, you will not be auto-subscribed again in the future. But I think that helps visibility when new layers win. It's part of winning. You get a bunch of subscribers, and it is up to you to lose them. And we'll also go to the other one, which is going to be Dragon Chain social influencers right here. Right. So those 2 layers are live, and neither of them have decor or posts. So if you have some ideas, go ahead and talk to your co-owners. I think maybe if I'm not logged in, I can't see it. Earlier today, it was working. Let me refresh this.
Huh.
You should see.
It is up. Okay.
You should see on your end. Do you see the list of? Because I'm not logged in, and it could be something that you
Yeah,
don't
I
see.
see the list of owners.
Okay. Well, when you're logged in, you'll see a list of owners. Apparently, that's a new feature. You log out, you don't see them.
Oh yeah, I
But
see it.
okay, good. So that'll be under layer info, and you can see who else threw in on that LCP. See if they have any ideas for the layer, and probably we don't use the chat rooms much, but ideally, when a new layer gets launched, those who are present could pop into chat and say, "Hey, what are some ideas for this new layer? Does anybody really love animals and want to take the reins?" Or something.
Is this
like that.
different from awe? The awe layer that you?
It is. So it's different from awe. It's
very different.
Well, no, it's a good point because it's similar but different.
Yeah.
You could say it's competing in the same way
Awe
that
is
Dragon.
like the grandbaby, and
Yeah.
look
That's
at the
cute
kitten.
There's compatibility between the two for sure. Similar to like Dragon Chain social influencers. I don't know what the vision for that is. I guess we could go to the LCP and find out.
Right.
I should have been logged in. I logged out specifically because I didn't want some stuff to show up.
Animals could be like who is it? Edinburgh or whatever.
Yes.
David Attenborough.
These are the denizens in their natural habitat.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't have the low enough voice or the right accent, but you get where I'm going there.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to do.
It's really hard to do his voice though, because he has
Yeah.
that. He has a high. He has this this middle range that's a little bit higher, so it's
Yeah.
like kind of a.
Good for him,
AI
though. I
can
mean,
do
because
it.
if it was easy to do
AI
his
can do
voice,
Yes.
yeah, AI could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do it. Yeah.
Maybe AI's been doing it this whole time. We're in a matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? We need the first post in animals to be from NOAA.
From
2
the
by
weather
2
agency.
Animals in the Ark.
Oh, NOAA. That NOAA. I thought you meant the North Atlantic Weather Organization people.
Yes.
I
NOAA, the hurricane people.
Both sides.
So we got animals, and then Dragon Chain social influencers is, I presume, kind of like a community Dragon Chain layer, whereas the Dragon Chain layer is the official company layer. This could be like the community layer.
That makes sense.
A lot of projects have like even like software has like the official version and then the -CV, the community version. So that's kind of how I picture it in my head. Cool. And that one, you could think of it as like the unofficial Dragon Chain layer if you wanted to, that kind of stuff, where one would have official announcements and the other would have people giving unofficial announcements or talking about them. So to date, we've got 161 LCP layers that have been created. Right now, we're doing up to 2 a month, unless somebody uses the runners-up option. So that's our pace, 1 to 2 a month, and over 240 million lot have been created. So these are NFTs that are 1155s, if you care about the different versions of NFTs, and they are what we vote with, and that's how we self-govern, and that's how we decide who gets to control the layer and who gets to put up the artwork when a new layer gets created and things like that. So if you voted for one of those layers, you are one of the proud new owners of those NFTs, and so you can do whatever you want with it. It's your sandbox. So I'll break right there. Do we want to talk about layers? Because it looks like we have basically 2 halves of this agenda. The first half is all about just the new layers, and then we can go into the new format and into the community feedback after that. So let's break here and say, I've been yapping for a minute. What do y'all think about the new layers, or have any ideas for it?
No, good explanation on Dragon Chain layers. So now, community versus official. I like it.
Yeah, I don't have any of the lot for that one. The social influencers thing is kind of like, I don't know, it's weird to me. So I just kind of was like, I don't know what that's about, but maybe I'll regret it. and come crawling back and say, "Give me some of that later."
Yeah, I got a small piece. Small piece. All right. So I guess I'm ready to move on to the second half of the meeting.
Cool. Well, let's do
I
that.
get a second nomination.
Real quick, related to layers, there is
Mhm.
still one outstanding DENDAO vote to make layer metrics available as the leaderboard. Like, this is the stopgap
Oh,
early measure.
What are the details on that?
Essentially, where
data
we,
dump.
where we would run something nightly or weekly or something, whatever makes sense. That would have, and it looks like we had said Monday through Sunday, and it would release every Monday. It would have a layer content score, where a post is 5 points and a reply is 1 point. It would have a subscriber count. It would have total energy spent on the layer.
Is this in the DENDAO layer and governance?
Total matter mined. It would have how much matter per lot for that layer. And then it would have
Yes.
a tagging score, which might just be counts or something. And then some type of consensus scoring. Is this community more controversial, or is it very, it's they pretty much agree on everything, that type of thing. And essentially, we would just run this query for every layer.
Yeah.
And then put it into a spreadsheet or multiple spreadsheets, whatever makes sense. CSV files, probably. They'd just be spitting out CSV files. And then you would be able to go to an endpoint and download it anytime during the week. It's like, now you just pull it in, put it in a spreadsheet. You can do whatever sorting. You can kind of explore it. And it's just kind of the first step, right?
Yeah, that seems great. Could even do it. CSV is better. Like, I like that a lot better, downloading a CSV. Yeah. But you could also do it as an automated post, similar to the lore farming post that's put out, and put into a table format like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I wouldn't have a problem like writing that query too for us.
Yeah, so, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be great. The idea being that anyone could then take a look at the data behind it versus it being automatically posted. So a little bit more transparency.
And people might,
and people might
have that. They might
get excited.
Yeah, then they might find some things that we wouldn't just, like, arrange in a certain way. They might realize, if I put this and this together, you can see whatever, right?
The idea being, since things are kind of on pause right now, at least we're getting something out there for transparency, B, some sort of leaderboard that individuals within the community could generate from that data until things come.
Yeah, that's great, because front end work is hard to get done right now, but this is something that we could do from the back end that makes it accessible to anybody who wants to then put it into like a pretty format or an infographic or whatever you want to do. Or that it's at least there.
Yep. It might even be I don't know how much effort it would be to get from this point, but imagine once you get this point, we could very likely push it into the when you go into the metrics, your payout interface.
You could have a download link there or something.
Yeah, that whole admin panel makes it really easy. If you already have a CSV or a table structure, you can put it in there and it does sorting for you and stuff. It wouldn't be as advanced as a spreadsheet, but it would be something that anybody could just come in and see. So
that is a different system than the internal admin panel that we use, by the way. I don't know if you're conflating the two, because one of them is really easy to put a query into and it gives you graphs and stuff, and the other one is the public facing one that people log in and see. And those are different systems.
Yeah, that one's not that bad either. They have all they have widgets. I think it's a couple more steps to map this table to that widget, but it operates the same way, all of the.
Well, I can definitely do the query to make it give the table that we need formatted correctly with the data that that can be run every week, and then Andrew or somebody on back end can probably would have to do the integration into where there's an endpoint to hit.
Cool.
is right. So I can definitely commit to the query side of it, getting it working and getting it even
Awesome.
put in as a function that's available on the system, so that
Mhm.
then they can just take that and run with it.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, it
but-
looks like it did pass. I didn't get to
Okay.
vote because but
Oh, it did pass. I didn't.
yeah, it did pass. And
Sweet.
what is it? If you think of any other field, I just kind of brainstormed on
Yeah.
my own that list of fields, but
Yeah, I will. Whenever I start doing that stuff, I probably 100% of the time.
yeah.
As soon as I get writing it, I'm just like, oh, you know what else would be cool?
Yes.
Well, if I can
that's
do that, I
exactly-
can do
yeah,
this. Oh, and if
yeah,
I can do that, I can do
that's
this.
awesome. Yeah.
But that also makes me like take too long, so I'll have to like find a happy medium there somewhere.
Yep. Yep. That's good.
Cool. No, that's great. I fully am
Yeah.
on board with that. I'm glad it passed.
Cool.
I didn't vote, of course, but I'm glad that it passed. And
So if anybody in the comment, anybody watching, somebody asked something this morning. I swear I saw it in the AMA. And when I look at the AMA, I don't see anything. So maybe it was something.
was it in chat that got pulled
Oh,
in
there
or
it is.
something?
Yeah, in fact, it was somebody had replied to me. So if you don't mind, we'll hit this real quick.
Sure.
Sure.
You want me to bring it
Jacob
up?
Wayne. Yeah, let's see here. It is the unpublished the mobile app. So if you go to DENDAO governance, it's a comment there.
Oh, it's in
Yeah.
DENDAO.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops, go back. That's my login. Nope. Stop it.
I'm sorry, man.
I'm trying to
Can you get
navigate
to-
without logging in right now. Hang on.
I don't know.
Here we
Can
go.
you get into DENDAO? I could share it if it makes sense. I don't know.
Boom. I'm here.
Can you go
All
to
right.
governance there?
It's in governance.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I'll have to do it. Sorry, I wasn't.
I'll just log in, man. It's not that big of a deal. I have this boatload of matter that is supposed to be for somebody else, and I just didn't want to like act like I was showing off or something. Because I'm weird. Somebody got mad at me for having too much matter one time, and so now I'm self-conscious about it. And it's the stupidest thing
The
ever.
Crypto people is so ridiculous.
Yeah, but really, it's because and I just talked to Jacob recently. I'm buying a camera, but then I didn't send it to him, and so like I'm just fucking backlogged. Pardon my French on stuff, and I just shouldn't have it still.
So just
All
click
right.
on the governance and then the
Up here.
DENDAO side of it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Dope. So it's in
No,
here.
no, down in the actual governance where you can go to the DENDAO side. Sorry. The DENDAO,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a
And it's
DENDAO.
the second from the top, maybe. We'll see these.
All right. So we have
Yes, that
Mobile
one.
app.
Mobile app.
bam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a.
I
should have
saw
had
this
that
this
prepared
morning.
earlier.
I just remembered. I thought it was on the AMA or something, but no, it was here. So if you go down one of the comments, so this is about should we
All right, so this is-
unpublish the mobile app because
Got you. I remember this conversation for
it's
sure.
not fully
Yeah.
functional. Probably causes
So I like the
confusion.
idea of this with the examples mentioned. I'd love to hear more. I'd have to catch up with the latest DENDAO episodes. I don't think I've listened to the last two. If y'all haven't discussed, please do in this next one. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I voted for approval, but can always change it depending on what you're thinking. So it passed, and what passed? Should we unpublish it? If approved, we can discuss further or make it
Right.
Okay, cool. I already know that I'm in favor of unpublishing it, and I and I have discussed it a little bit on Den before as
And-
well.
And Joe and I discussed it in the last meeting I attended too. I mean, my only reservation was, is it some sort of marketing functionality despite its, bugs?
Yeah.
Or is it an issue that later would be harder to add it back in? And if we're going towards a completely decentralized platform, would that make it even more difficult to get a mobile app in the
Right.
store versus updating it? Those were my only concerns. However, I think I went ahead and voted to approve this, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. As I understand it, two things that happened in order were one, development on both the Android and the iOS app stopped because there was there were issues with the App Store where they wanted us to like fundamentally change how it worked in a way that would have, in my opinion, opened it up to abuse. Specifically, they wanted people to be able to report things even if they weren't logged in, which is not how Twitter works, which is not how like a lot of stuff works, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted to have an unaccountable abuse button, basically. And we were like, no, we're not going to do that. And they were like, well, we're not going to let you update your app anymore. So that's kind of how that went. And then after that happened, I mean, that's very compressed, but that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we changed our authentication system for Den, which made it to where you couldn't log in on the app anymore. And so since we can't update it on the app stores anymore, you can't log in. So now you have an app that theoretically works, and I've heard that it works even not logged in, to like if you have it installed and you open in the Den app, that it still shows the post even if you're not logged in. I don't know if that's true or not. We could test it. But that would be the only thing that it's useful for. And as far as marketing goes, this is where you and we're talking before. I totally see presence on the app stores as something that's valuable, right? Because people expect it, especially today. We've talked about this before. It's kind of weird what happened, but only middle-aged people know how to use computers anymore for some reason. It's like, old people and young people, it's not like, I'm not trying to diss anybody or whatever. It's just how things have gone. And so an app is expected. And so I know a lot of people have told me that that's just something that they expect everything to have. And if it doesn't have one, they're not interested. So that could be a reason to have it up there. But then at the same time, if they try to use it, they're not going to be able to sign up. It doesn't interface with the new auth system. They can't make an account. So is it negative advertising to have something that from a new user's perspective is going to be broken? If you already have an account, maybe it's useful to like look at links from, Den sources. If you don't have an account and you're just learning about it, you're probably going to be like, this thing doesn't work. What the hell?
Right.
So that's kind of, to me, that's like the whole, like three aspects.
Yeah.
Which is why I think we should just unpublish it.
And if we become completely decentralized, how would the app get done?
Right. So,
and would they even approve it?
And
right now we couldn't update it if we wanted.
I didn't mean to gloss over that because you did ask, and that's a great question. Is there a benefit in keeping it there as a placeholder? Because maybe it's harder to get it back on there later. In other words, if we have resources and the U.S. market like gets some sanity back about what's allowed to exist, and you can have apps that are decentralized on the app stores again, or at least they allow us to, we are able to develop it further. Is it worth keeping it up there just so we have something that exists already to hook into and just push out an update to it? Because we could do that. We could push out an update that replaces the whole app, and then it just keeps its same place on the app store. I don't know if those are answerable questions. Like, how hard is it going to be in the future to get an app on there?
I believe that you can just delist it. Like, you can just say, hey, don't publish it anymore. I mean, there's a release out there, and the latest release was rejected because, like you said, they claimed you couldn't do something that you could, but we haven't really, gone back and forth with them like we normally would. If we can just unlist it, whatever the word would be, unpublish it. That's what I'm looking for. And I can't.
So we wouldn't be like deleting our presence
be there
from a developer's point of view and from the app store's infrastructure. It would just not be findable by somebody who's searching for it. That seems like a good in between.
Yeah. And I don't know if, it's probably different between Google and Apple, but who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I was one of those things you're thinking while you're driving and you're just, your wheels are turning, thinking, man, APK files, isn't that what they're called?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
how come nobody's been able to work that in some way somehow?
Well, you can publish on your own website an APK file.
Oh yeah.
And if somebody on Android has developer mode enabled, they can just install it.
Right.
There's even an app store. Is it called F-Droid? There's an app
Like
store.
That, right. And I'm
There's
just
a lot of them,
always
too.
wondering why that hasn't taken off yet.
People
Because-
are
I think
weird.
it will. My
Because
hunch is it will someday.
I think my theory is it's for the same reason that people, like younger people, need an intuitive app where they can just press a button and it does the thing, right? I think that's the reason. Like if you tell somebody they need to like side load an alternative app store or enable developer mode to load this APK, number one, they're suspicious, and number two, that starts to get scary. Am I hacking my phone? Am I rooting my phone? What am I doing? That kind of thing. So I think it's probably the friction point there.
Yeah, it kind of opens up a door of vulnerability for everybody, because then everybody else, all the bad actors are going to flood it as well. So
now to the other question about how does a DAO, how does a decentralized group of folks develop an app? That's pretty easy, because literally all you do is you find a developer who will accept cryptocurrency, and you as a DAO negotiate their rate and pay them in whatever you've agreed to pay them in, right?
And they are a third party. They are a third party that puts the app on the okay, cool.
Or they give us they publish it through us. We just need someone that can do the work, basically. That has the time.
Well, when you say us, define us as a decentralized DAO.
Well, we were just talking about the app that's on the App Store. Yeah. Like we could just as well like push out an update. I mean, now you know what? That's not true, because they stopped their updates. So they could publish on their own, a third party. Yes, absolutely.
For some reason I don't, and maybe I just need to figure out the settings on this, but I cannot unpublish it. I found a place to do it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and that's on the Google side. I haven't looked on the Apple side yet. So
yeah, anybody with dev chops who can make apps can make a Den app.
Yeah,
and it can be published under their name. They can do it and charge for it if they want. I don't.
It's almost
it doesn't
like
matter.
Kind of like the Reddit, API thing that happened here recently.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to, they could make their own Den app, and they could charge 99 cents for it on the App Store, and they could publish it. They would just need to go through DENDAO to get access to the auth system. That's it.
Ooh, now you're talking an idea, Dave. Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
That's
to get access.
Model,
the one thing that they need is for the ability in their app so that people can sign up for a Den account and they can log in and log out of their Den account in their app. If they get that, which the last time we had a conversation with Backend about how feasible that was or how easy it was, it seems like there's no security issues. It's already set up to be able to do that. We just have to manually approve somebody as a third party to make the app, and then off to the races, kind of thing. Because the API is open. I mean, technically, you could figure out how that works just by doing a browser inspect on Den.Social, but we should definitely still publish that openly on GitHub or something, like what the API endpoints are. But yeah, so long story short, if there was, let's say there is a community DAO that formed on its own who got together and raised some funds in a common treasury, and then they used that to fund development of a Den app for iPhone and for Android. That's probably exactly how that would work. And luckily devs are computer people, and a lot of computer people accept cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's the other thing. If anybody knows anyone with resources, either available developer time or money, all of it could be pretty streamlined, because we know what we want to do as a project, and we have a way to, make the decisions and everything. So
Yeah, it doesn't have to be money. I just said that because that's
Right.
typically the way to get somebody to give you their time,
yep.
right? But
Yep.
if somebody has the time, that's what's needed is the developer time.
And I do still believe too that, like, say for development of the app, I mean, the DAO could say, hey, we will give some how do I say, metrics based mining. So if you attract more users via the mobile app or something, then maybe you mine a chunk of the daily. I don't know. It would make sense. So
Sure. Okay, cool.
All right, what else we got on our list over here? Agenda. All right, so we are going to move to 7 p.m. It's going to be first and third. And the first, is that right? First and third is September 7th, the first Thursday. Yep, it is. So the first Thursday of September is September 7th. So 9/7 at 7 p.m. And that'll be cool for me because that'll be right in line with my new pattern of life that I'm moving into. And I don't know. I do think that more people are generally available in the evenings, so that should work out. And I do think that the pace right now is such that twice a month twice a month is a pretty good rate for these calls, in my opinion. Do you think we should do them? Is there a reason to do them more frequently? Like, is there a need to keep them weekly?
My only argument that I'm trying to look at other ways for developing funding for our funding us to go decentralized,
Right.
and so that could heat up, and 2 meetings a month isn't going to cut it. But until that point,
yeah, we can always call a call if we have a reason to have
exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more like, even if it's not on a Thursday or something, or if we need to do something at a different time, like I'm especially in the middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's my core. Like I'm working on stuff. I'm making time for stuff in the evenings. Like we can always call an extra call if we need to.
Sure.
Yeah, especially if that heats up to where you have like something that we can benefit from funding wise or research wise for that.
Yes.
That's definitely something to have a special call on. So that's what we'll do. All right. So we're in the evenings now. Now, community feedback. Decentralization. Consider that in the future, the DIN might allow users to post video, not just a link to YouTube or others.
Just want that in the mix, that we're thinking of that down the road, that while we're decentralizing it currently as is, shall we say, that we need to keep that in mind, that eventually, who knows, this could also become a video app platform.
I agree. And this is where
which is a lot more bandwidth.
Yeah, it's a lot more bandwidth and it's a lot more storage as well. Yes. And this is where, like, if we did something, this is where this is the kind of what I've always liked about Dragon Chain, building it with Dragon Chain, is because if you have, let's say there's one solution that gives you the ability to have decentralized server infrastructure, compute infrastructure, but it doesn't necessarily give you this massive storage layer that you need. Well, then you could also plug in something like storage or something like Filecoin or something like that.
By the way, on that, what comes with it for storage? Because there has to be some storage. So
it's not a ton. It is plenty. It's plenty for what we have right now. Okay. But when you talk about video storage, that fills up a lot of space really quickly. So an option would be, I have to go back and look at it, but it's basically if we just talk about, for example, what's it called? Flux, right? If we just talk about Flux, assuming that the security requirements are met for that to be a safe environment for us, their maximum size of a virtual machine that you can run is exactly the same size as their biggest node that you can run as a Flux miner. They have 3 different size nodes. And so the way they operate is like they aren't splitting compute across a bunch of machines to where you can scale up and up and up and up. They're basically using their biggest node and then redundant copies of it. But you're still just running on one at a time.
Okay.
Right. So that's their storage. It is fast SSD storage, but it is not like massive like video upload capacity.
Right.
So whatever their max node size is called the Stratus or the Strat server or whatever it is. It used to be called the it was like some acronym like HMFIC or BMF or something like that, like whatever it is. But to get around the limitation, let's say we want to bolt on extra capacity for storage and stuff like that. You could either do something like the same thing except just for storage on Storage or Filecoin or Saya or stuff like that. Or what I would like to see is some collaboration between like Library and Den to where they have this infrastructure. They have this amazing infrastructure, and we could theoretically, technically, we could tie that in natively to where you can be logged into Den and then you upload. You know how whenever you claim your Ethereum account on Den, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine claiming your Library account on Den in the same way. And then whenever you publish a video, you're literally interfacing with their authentication system and you're publishing to Library, which is native to Den.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. The only issue here is that given the SEC case in Library, as I understand it, Library essentially has ceased to exist. It's now Odyssey, which is just plain video platform. There is no tokenization at all. And so I was thinking in the same terms of that, kind of like how Dragon Chain writes to Bitcoin and to Ethereum, Binance, whatever. Imagine if we were also writing video to BitChute, Odyssey, whatever, as kind of as the backup storage or where the permanent storage is.
Yeah.
And
with Odyssey, I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, so then the maybe after 30 days or something, it drops off of wherever we're storage or sys or wherever, Flux, wherever it's at, is kind of my thinking. I don't like that idea, but if push comes to shove, that might be an option.
You know why I like that idea? Because we've talked about it a little bit before. And what's cool about that is it limits your overall storage capacity that you need, because you don't need to keep everything forever. You just need to keep what people care about for as long as they care about it. Similar to how BitTorrent works, right? If you ever tried to like download an old torrent file and there's no seeders left, right? It's like, oh, people stopped caring about it. You can't get this anymore from this network. In a similar way, Den could limit its storage capacity by either giving an expiration date on videos when you upload them, or a keep alive amount of matter, for example, where anybody could like put more coins in the machine to keep it storing that video by tipping the video or something like that. Some sort of activity to signal from the community, like, no, we still care about this video, we still want it up. So where things fall away if people don't care about them, but things to stick around as long as people are maybe a certain watch frequency or a certain like top up, some sort of like each little video has its own prepaid card or something like that.
That's good.
Yeah, stuff like that's interesting.
Keep a live video with matter.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you could integrate with Rumble if we, got on a call with official Rumble team and said, hey, we want to integrate natively to where, I don't know if they'll like that. I don't know what their advertising model is. And if,
But then again, they're
that works.
centralized.
And we can do the same thing with Odyssey.
I know, which again is considered centralized as well. So,
but the infrastructure that they use is still library.
Yes. Well, true.
And that's the same thing we were talking about with Flux, where they have an access list that you have to get on to be able to be allowed to be on their network. Now, the network itself is decentralized, but access to it is still gate kept.
There is some. I mean, it's not perfect, but the streaming torrents are already integrated. You can already, as long as the layer allows it, you can put a torrent in, and it will, if it's seeded, it'll stream it in the browser in place. So
does that work?
Yep. Now, I haven't tested it in over a year, but we put it in for someone that we thought was going to be using it, and they never turned on, right? But essentially, it was kind of the beginning of what I was hoping would be, a better way to meter that. Now, it's still imperfect because the people in the community would have to seed, but by seeding, they would be mining, right? So if something wasn't ever watched, or if the consensus was that it was spam, then it would drop off anyway, and people would say, well, I'm going to stop seeding it maybe. I don't know. But it's at least a workable solution. That's what torrent should be doing, frankly. Torrent should have a blockchain-based reward system for people who seed the most valuable or most voluminous material, right? So if it's something everybody wants to see, you can have a piece of it. Something that's rare is not going to get, it's not going to pay out very often, but when it does, it's going to be, you're going to be the only one. So it would introduce a human-based balancing system where it's like, oh, I can see this is needed, I'm going to go seed it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
I want to try something.
It'd be kind of interesting too. Imagine if like every video that was published on Den, when it's decentralized, is also published, like I said, on BitChute. I'm just picking BitChute. But it was published in BitChute under the Den channel, and people started seeing this on BitChute, saying, and then coming back and go, oh, well, wait a minute, that's just kind of neat. I'm going to go over to Den.Social and see what that is.
That's not a bad idea. And here's the thing too. We had thought this for a while. Let's say you come into Den and you want to post a video, right? Instead of just posting a link to some other site, you actually push it, right? You say, okay, here's the video, right? So you upload it. Now, the big issue for scalability will be, especially if we're decentralized, who's paying for that bandwidth to upload all the video. But it is entirely possible that the front end could interface with multiple. So essentially, you would be uploading it to YouTube and BitChute and wherever else.
Right.
Whatever else.
Yeah, wherever.
And now, no matter how centralized those are, you're at least somewhat decentralized, that would be nice, right? And imagine that too. What if, if it was the torrent angle, if it was something where, okay, this is going to get censored on all the platforms. We know what's coming in 2024 and 2025. They're going to be censoring everything. So, we have to think of this as a tool that you could potentially also say, look, here's a download link. So you can download this file yourself and seed it. And, here's and I don't know, there's some potential mix there that could work. And part of it's already built, but
right. The only issue with that is
real quick, let me butt in for a second.
Go ahead, Dave.
Can you, before you finish your line of thought, can you go over to the governance and vote on my proposal in the coffee layer?
Yes.
I'm not sure how much lot you have, but I'm hoping it's enough to push it over. So that I can just try something.
Me on the coffee?
No, I am.
I am. Okay. All right. I think I have a couple on the coffee
Did
I'm
it
hoping you
improve?
have enough.
vote on it
Let's
too.
see.
I didn't
had
have
10.
enough.
Let me see. No,
Where it's
How
30.
many are needed?
I
I
need
have
another. Yeah, 10. That's not enough, but it's almost. And we don't have anybody else here right now. Dang. All right, I'll try it out.
Well, now
I just
I'm going to
want-
vote no.
I'm gonna in the coffee layer. I'm gonna try out some torrents.
I just voted on IAM's X Twitter.
I found a bunch of coffee with a bunch
you.
of public domain torrents, so I can test some stuff out here. Is
All
there
right.
anything that
By the way, I have, since we began speaking, or since the vote was, since we saw the vote, we are now unpublished per DENDAO vote from the Google Play Store. I'm looking at the Apple side right now, so
Okay.
let's see.
I can do it in Australia.
You can do it. You can do it in Australia.
I can do it in Australia. This is what I do. This is what
I
we
own
do.
some in Australia too.
I just want to test this out right now. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I've got way too much of Australia, so I can just do it.
Wait, what is this?
Pose. Boom. Okay. Now, let's see if this works. So I'm curious if it still works the way it's implemented. And if it does, then, there would be some tutorial videos that need to be made. There need to be some like little instructional, here's how this works for torrents and stuff.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, if you got a machine that just runs all the time anyway, that's on, we could, as denizens, self-host videos that are directly embedded, especially if it's stuff we record ourselves that we have all the rights in the world to be able to post.
Right.
Cool. So Australia, post. I don't see an option. So it's passed, but I don't. Oh wait, add video. It's probably right in here. Does this work?
Yeah, it's
Nope,
been so long.
unsupported format. Yeah, SoundCloud, Vimeo, or YouTube is that is all it supports. So there must have been something changed recently that doesn't directly allow the torrents to work. I wonder why. We may have had a reason to disable it or something along the way. I don't know. Because I've got here, if I just go over here and I go to Australia, and I go to post, and I go to post. So there's images, video, and that's it. If I add video URL, this is where you would put like a SoundCloud link to. But if I put this URL that leads, I don't know if this is right though. You know what I mean? Like, what format do we need to put that in?
MP4.
Because what I'm grabbing here is I don't know if it needs to be a different like formatted URL. It's just a public domain movie, and they have some links here to different formats, right? So this one is it's not a direct. You see how it's a query type URL at the bottom there?
Yeah.
It's not a direct link to. I wonder if that's part of the reason it doesn't work, or what.
Huh.
I don't know. I'll have to play around with that and see.
Interesting, Dave. Interesting.
Because there's definitely not a way to upload a torrent file, which is what I would expect. And I can't point to it that way. But yeah, the thing with, if you're unfamiliar with BitTorrent, it's the more people that have the file, that are participating in that, the higher the bandwidth is. And for streaming is really cool, actually, because the more people that are watching, the more bandwidth it has. So as you get more and more viewers, each of those viewers themselves are participating in the streaming. And so it beautifully scales up to where the more, like, you don't have to have this, like, Amazon Elastic Cloud, where if the demand is too high, you have to like pay for more bandwidth. No, every individual viewer who's watching a BitTorrent like live stream is participating and sharing a bit of their own bandwidth. And so you can have everybody in the world watching it if you want to, kind of thing. So that's interesting. I got to play around with it some more. It doesn't work as is.
Yeah.
Or I'm not putting in the right link the right way. One of the two.
Yeah, and I can't remember. It's been too long. We'd have to talk to the devs, because we built it out and it was pretty impressive, really. Because like you said, if more of us were watching it, it was pretty cool. But yeah. Anyway.
We're running into time. I think if we can, we should hit Aladida's 2 comments.
Oh yes, for sure. Yes, I got carried away like trying. I was like,
Oh
this
no,
is
no, no, it's good.
And by the way, I do believe it is now, and you guys can maybe test it. I don't have any Apple products, so I can't test.
I don't
if it's
either.
still in the App Store. It looks like, per the DENDAO vote, is now unpublished from both app stores.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'll actually no. My son has an Apple, so I'll an iPhone, so I can have him check.
Cool.
All right. If we go towards decentralization and it costs owners for running layers with less activity, is it possible we can merge with Dragon Chain Time in the future, where there's demand for time and owners can put their time to bring down the cost of running the layers, and then can use the time somewhere else? That's a good idea, because that's right in line with even like the white paper's initial concept of for the B2B layers, or the business layers, or the a la carte layers, or whatever you want to call them, the custom layers, where there would be a maintenance cost that is directly proportional to how popular the layer is, and the less used, the more expensive, and vice versa.
And we need to plan like some type of a model for what happens if nobody's paying. What if it's totally defunct?
Yeah.
How do we shut it down? Or it has to be in the terms. It has to be something that's what we do. But
we haven't, as far as I know, talked about applying time that way.
No, we have not.
Which would be an interesting route, especially if that time could be then used by Den to apply to its Dragon Chain node or something like that.
Right.
So then effectively the layer owners could be paying the time that DENDAO needs to apply to their nodes for DragonNet.
Yep. Here, 1 second. I'll be right back.
Sure.
No problem.
And the other question is about premium accounts. If we do go for premium accounts,
right?
And that was just to recap a little bit. The idea there was like useful features, quality of life features, things like maybe the ability to do something like the videos, the torrent videos. If we wanted to have an infrastructure for videos that maybe premium accounts only had access to, at least in the beginning, and we use that to fund operation of Den. Could we have like a founding fathers type or a limited edition NFTs that I think the idea here is to offset the cost, or to make it to where people that have been doing this for a while wouldn't have to pay as much. Is that what this is? Something else only minted for limited time, holders of these. Oh, we'll have a share in the daily mining pool. Now that's interesting. We have that that's how the lot NFTs work already.
True. That is true.
Yeah, but this is like a super lot, right? This is like this is like something that would apply to every layer across Den, like the entire mining pool, right? Basically, it's a different pool, is what it is.
Right.
I guess you would be creating a different pool, a different mining pool, and that one mining pool would pay out to these super lot holders. I mean, if we needed, there's a bunch of things we could do to raise money if we needed to, and that could be one of them.
Like okay, so you'd have like you say, a 5 or 10% pool or something like that, and people who own these. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Like just like basically DENDAO has a pool of the 1,000, effectively, or there's the referral pool, and there's the pool for creators, different pools. There could be there could be you could call it like the fundraising pool or something like that.
Yeah.
So theoretically you could sell them for cash, and whoever held onto them got a premium account and whatever their cut of that pool is, kind of thing. That could go into a fundraising for for funding, for development, for operations and things like that.
Yeah.
We got a lot of ways to slay that dragon.
Okay, there you go. I like both of those, really.
It's more than anything, I think I like the NFT one because it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it would not take very much to do that.
Right.
There'd be some coding, but it wouldn't be that much. So.
Yeah, they could be like yeah, it could come with artwork. Maybe it could be like a really cool dragon or something.
And we could, and here's the other
An
thing, we
NFT
could
with awesome dragon artwork.
you could put them out quarterly. I mean, theoretically, it could be something that helps to fund stuff. You put them out quarterly. It you get
Oh yeah,
you get something for mining, and you get maybe some extra utility or who knows what. But imagine if you had these, and maybe one quarter we release them on Ethereum, another quarter we release them on some other chain, and just do whatever might make sense there. I don't know.
yeah. We haven't ever used that inflationary ownership model very much. That has been discussed a couple of times. This idea of using inflation to your advantage to sort of not penalize, but like remove the sometimes unfair advantage that early movers have, where
Yes.
they will sit on this huge portion of like in some of the layers, for example, a lot of the layers really, where people will have a huge percentage of ownership, but then they'll stop participating.
Yep.
And then everybody else is like, well, we're still here.
Yep.
Why doesn't our percentage go up since we're doing work?
Yeah.
But you can solve that potentially. And this is probably counterintuitive to crypto people, but by using inflation on purpose, that kind of thing, so that the more you show up to work, the more you maintain your percentage of ownership.
And inflation gets it's a bad word because of how it's used normally.
Right.
But in this case, it would be let's say every month, every quarter, something new ownership is generated based upon how much you did in the layer,
based on participation, based on behavior.
Consistent.
It's the utility of inflation. You're using the utility of inflation to make sure that people that are showing up every day, or at least maybe not every day, but consistently, maintain the control they need for a functioning, healthy ecosystem.
There's some interesting stuff you could do there too that wouldn't be massive change. Like say, if you worked on an equivalency of, okay, these are the original ownership lot, and yet something that isn't tradable is generated after that, right? So I can just come in and I end up with more. Anyway, that's a long discussion. We probably don't want to get started, but
yeah, it kind of makes me want to have like an experimental layer. Maybe I can.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like a layer that's like Den.NG. It's like experimenting on different models like that.
That's a great idea.
Because like, what if we did that in a layer, and we did that where we had an inflation schedule, and it went out on some rule set that was set by the community, about like how you did, this many posts that reached at least, 70% consensus or something per week. And if you met these wickets, you get issued this lot that's inflationary. And what if we did that and that layer became like the spot on Den? It's happening. It's popular. It's like amazing. It would make me want to like relaunch Den and do it that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or something like that. Or at least like take the lesson learned there and say, oh, this is fucking powerful. Let's see where we can use this,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because that's what I have on my whiteboard of funding ideas.
To that
effect. Yeah.
I mean, that could be one. I mean, the NFT one, and I don't know what kind of market there is for any of that stuff, but it should be doable. I just don't know how doable it is, right? But,
those are really great ideas, Aladata. Thank you.
Yeah. Excellent.
User flags. So user flags are amazing, and they never got made.
Yeah.
What is the question here? Question: are we going to see this feature implemented in the near future? I don't think it'll be the near future.
Yeah. If we did anything with that, it would be less that mock-up, and it would be more that information in a block in text at the top.
Right.
You might have 5 stars, red stars for, I can't remember if that was the user. Of course, it's transparent.
Yeah.
Those are user badges. We had layer owner badges.
Yeah.
We had content rep and economic rep.
The thing with this is it really lends to this idea that we talked a little bit today about on World Blockchain, that Greg talks about a lot, which is this idea in a sort of a cypherpunk concept of reputation as your identity, where you can, number one, confirm that the person you're talking to very likely is the person you think it is.
Yes.
And it isn't some jackass that just spun up a new account, right?
Right.
Like even just looking at this flag, this was kind of the idea with the flag thing. It's like, okay, it isn't just bragging rights because I got all these stars and badges and stuff. It is that, but it's more importantly, somebody at a glance can be like, oh yeah, I talk to this person all the time. That's them. You know,
Yeah.
like
This is
their
the
flag
real
looks
Joe
like that.
Dragon. Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But also it's this idea of like, displaying your reputation on a badge that you can then, rip off and start a new badge kind of thing. If you have whatever reason you need to for that, you lose the advantages of the reputation you've gained, but maybe you have a reason to do that. I don't know. So interesting. So I don't think that this is going to be made in the near future. It's definitely on the list. When we have resources, mostly like front end type resources, just in general, when we have more time and more resources to build stuff at a reasonable pace like that, that's pretty high on the list is the badges, the flags.
Yeah. And that was,
by the way, where can we see that list?
So right now, the easiest place to see it is to go to the GI section and find one of the prioritization lists. So if you just scroll down, you'll hit one that's prioritization. Pretty. It's not okay. I guess it's further down than I thought.
No worries.
There's one right there.
There's one right there.
Prioritization vote. So these, it lists them all out. So there should be about 13. Yep.
Yeah.
And each one of them has an estimated effort. And these are the different things right here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. So that's all the feedback. Yeah, for sure. We got some stuff done. We actually unpublished. We made a decision and implemented it. Progress there. My head's kind of like the torrent thing now, because I'm thinking
right. Isn't that exciting?
It requires a little bit of coordination. A lot of bit of coordination, but you could host not just live streams that way, but you could host like videos that way. You could also host arbitrary files if somebody wanted to attach something.
True. We didn't have we did not work in apparently the library we had, it was said you could do live stream. We didn't test any of that. We were only doing streaming of video from a torrent. So it would be a torrent.
It gets the first chunks first and starts watching it. Yeah. And that's enough. That's enough. Yeah. That's enough. The only thing, of course, alarm bells in the back of my head. The only thing that we'd have to watch out for is we would need a way for the community to self-regulate. So if someone's posting like a theater cam rip of Oppenheimer, I don't want Hollywood coming down on Den saying you're hosting, like we're not the Pirate Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the technology works amazingly.
How do they do that right now with torrent? Like if there's a torrent out there for that, who does Hollywood?
How do they catch you?
Yeah, well, yeah. Who do they go after? I mean, who?
Well, they go after whoever. Like Den.Social is registered to an entity, and so they would send a DMCA takedown.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I guess to take down the button wherein you can watch it on our
so we're not we would not be hosting it.
Yeah.
The way that they operate is they go through your ISP, they actually go to the individual who's downloading the video or who's uploading the video. Really what they do is they themselves upload the video illegally, but for them it's not illegally because they own the IP. So they offer it up like a honeypot. And since it's peer-to-peer, they look and see what IP addresses are downloading that file.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
And so when they get the IP addresses, they're like, okay, this IP address belongs to Cox. We don't know who it is, but we know it's somebody who is a customer of Cox. And then they send a letter to Cox Communications or Comcast or AT&T, and they say this IP address on this date downloaded this file that violates this law. So make them stop. And then the ISP sends a letter to the customer. And actually on Cox, because I have a hit on one of those, because I was doing some research on a file that apparently was tracked by Hollywood.
Wow.
There's a little interface. It tells you your DMCA, your takedown notices in your login portal. And it says, yep, you were not supposed to download Mario 2023. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Darn. And if you get enough hits, your internet gets shut off.
Wow.
So that's how it's done. So it goes after the individual. So it's on the individual to like know, number one, if what they're downloading, they're allowed to download. In some countries you live in, you can. Like in some countries, it's perfectly fine to do research to see how piracy works. And part of that could be watching the content to see what they did. Like, are they able to get, like what version of the file? Is it real? Is the claim legit? That kind of thing. So you can do research like that to find information. In other countries, like in the US, you cannot do that research. You cannot download even a part, even a little chunk, even if it's not the whole thing. You can't download even a part of it because then you violate a law. So it puts the responsibility on the individual to know the laws of the country they live in and to not violate them. But as far as DEN goes, it would be like the only time it would be a problem for DEN is if it became like DEN became like the Pirate Bay, where people go to DEN because they know there's a bunch of like organized links and it makes it really easy to access it and stuff like that. Then it's an issue. Because we're just linking to something. We're not publishing it. We're not hosting it. We're just linking to it, saying, "Hey, this exists over there."
Right.
But
if it's a DIN post, it's a searchable item.
Right. Yeah. And there's this gray area where, like, okay, on one hand, like every website is going to have a certain amount of that, right? And as long as you have some sort of reasonable procedure of like, nope, we don't allow that stuff, and as we find it, we take it down. Or as the community finds it, they are able to somehow mute it.
I would imagine you put a smart tag in on it that this is obviously copyrighted material.
Yeah, right. You make something that's able to do that. You either make that consensus based, so it self regulates, or you make it if that doesn't work, then you have a DAO action thing. So you have to have some sort of like, basically you have to not be promoting it, but that's such a vague thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just obviously be the Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Because we're not in Sweden, is it?
Is it?
I think it's Sweden.
No, it's Switzerland, I thought.
No, it's definitely one of the three.
Switzerland?
Yeah.
Non-European Union ones.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I just saw something a week ago when they had the letter, and they said he was like 21 or 22 when he was filling these out, and it was hilarious. He basically wrote this letter to, Hollywood, whoever, and said, "We're not in the United States, and your laws don't apply here, and I'm allowed to do this, and go fuck yourself." It was really interesting. I ought to find it.
Didn't work out for him in the end. It also didn't work out.
Did they get him in the end?
Well, I don't know about him, but Kim.com did the same thing.
Oh yeah, Kim.com, because he was in New Zealand. They had the ability to man helicopters over there. raid his compound. So
Hollywood sent the FBI to New Zealand to raid his house and take his cars. They took his servers, which is one thing, but then his cars.
I think they literally said you can't download a car. But he has some cars. I swear that these were probably
pirated cars.
I will tell you, I once was asked as a contractor at the FBI to put up this website, and it was a demo website, but it was we had essentially grabbed a whole bunch of code from another website to just use as a demo, and then filled it out right. And they were like, "No, we need to put this up there." It's like, guys, we can't do this. And we're like, "What are you talking about? Do it!" And I'm like, I don't want to sit through every goddamn movie I watch has this freaking FBI warning up in front of it about how illegal this stuff is, and you're telling me to do this here.
Exactly what you're telling me to do.
Yeah, and it's like the law doesn't apply to them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the hypocrisy of the whole thing, and it's something we've talked about before. It's the same thing that I did when I was in the military. Yep. You know what? One of the first. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But one of the first steps in the process to launch a Tomahawk cruise missile, whenever you're coordinating, is to hit the cancel button on the licensing pop-up.
No.
For because we communicate over with IRC chat. It's on the TS network. It's all encrypted, but it's just an IRC chat room, and the software that we happen to use was not paid for, and nobody fucking cared.
So we used to joke. We had this is sort of hilarious. I have two really funny things. Yeah. One thing, we found that I was in this one group that we had to kind of track through all the licensing and where's the money going for different types of software and stuff. And we found out that every single device in the entire facility, and there were thousands of them, obviously, had a full Windows license. They were all Windows, right? Mm-hmm. But they also all had a separate Windows license that was purchased with the hardware. So everything was double licensed.
Everything was double. Yes.
So 100%. Microsoft probably worked that deal out somehow. You could salespeople.
Well, no, it happens in corporate environments too, not just the military.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's certified software where you buy a new machine and it comes with, let's say it comes with Windows Vista, Windows 7. But no, we have to use Windows 2000. So your new machines come with licensed operating systems on it.
Yep, and you can't get them without that.
No.
The other story was a project manager that at one point I saw him way at the other end of the building, and he was like pointing at this kid, like an intern. He was like just yelling at him, pointing at him, and he came over and I was like, what the hell was that? And he's like, he wants me to install Microsoft Project on his laptop, and we don't have the licenses for him. We're trying to figure out how to get a license for it and stuff. And it's like, I was just halfway in, and I told the other guys on the dev team, it's like, I kind of wish he would just do it because I would love to see the FBI rating the FBI, right? Because I would forget right? Yeah. So anyway,
yeah. No, that happens all the time, and that's it's part of the problem. Really, is what it is. Is because if it's too cumbersome for them to do it, if it's too much of a pain in the ass and just too much of a problem for them to do it, then how is it magically fine for everybody else? To adhere to the same rule set, kind of thing.
It's pathetic.
So anyway, all that is to say, I think we would be fine on Den to have the torrent functionality. The only issue would be if we started openly promoting Den as a hub for piracy, which is not what we're interested in.
No. Don't want that.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, I'm glad we talked that through because I think we're fine.
Yes.
We need to test it because see if it still works for one. Because I don't know if the libraries are out of date or because it was.
I'll have to see what format the torrent file has to go in because there's no way to attach a file for sure. No, so there has to be a link format.
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Hey guys,
I really don't know.
I'm gonna have to go.
All right,
right.
Get out of here.
Talk soon.
We're gonna wrap up anyway.
Yeah, we should wrap up.
Great meeting. Thanks.
All right, adios. Cool. So here is you got anything else? Because I think that's all I've got.
Yeah, we went way more than I expected.
Cool. So once again, we're moving to first and third Thursdays of the month. It's going to be 7 p.m. So we'll do this again on Thursday, September the 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Or Central time, that would be 6. Mountain time would be 5. And Pacific time, that would be 4 p.m. And if you are in Japan, I think you might just be waking up in the morning. So maybe we can get the whole world on. All right. Here's a song from Y'all Weird called Enter the Dragon. See y'all in a couple weeks.
See you soon. Bye.
because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.